Swiggity swooty, let's get that booty.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Slim Cogcast, and I am your host Slim Cognito. It's been a loud week, but not a lot of news. Basically, Nintendo been making some screw ups. Everybody's hyped for Cyberpunk, and people are getting knocked out in the ring. But before we get into all of that, I gotta remind you one more time that my name is Slim Cognito, and you're damn right that I'm black. So, from the top, I finally went back to some anime. And the anime I watched this week, like I told y'all, working on actually coming through on the promise a little sooner, something that I can deliver to you faster, was my anime reviews again, because the other stuff is in the pipeline, but I'm such a terrible, I'm my own worst critic, and I don't want shit to go up unless it's perfect. Hopefully I can get over that. But yeah, Psycho-Pass. This anime was recommended to me for years. When did it come out? This anime came out a long time ago, because I remember this being recommended to me like way back when like Attack on Titan was popping. Alright, yeah, in 2012, yo. Yeah, and back then, bro, like 2012, it was an era where like I couldn't find no anime to satisfy me no more. Like everything felt like same shit. This one, however, it's like one or two steps above the usual anime shit. You know what I'm saying? Overall, I guess you could say I enjoyed myself. At times the dialogue. I don't know if I should go with the bad or the good first. I'm just gonna talk. I'm just gonna speak freely. By no means was it a bad anime. It wasn't bad at all. The biggest issue I had trying to grasp it was that it has a very slow start, to the point where things don't pick up on a swing till like the fifth, or from episode 5 to 8 is where things actually catch a swing. So yeah, it was around those episodes where I became, let's say, fully invested. But once again, like I said, don't get me wrong, they set it up very well in terms of trying to make sure that you're very well acquainted with the main character, to the point where you can appreciate her growth later on in the series, but her growth wasn't unreasonable to where 1 month later working on the force and suddenly, now she's a complete badass. Like, no, she just became a little more confident and accustomed to the shit that was going on. And one of the biggest things that bothered me with it initially was that they painted her as a child or puppy trying to grasp the understanding of a very dark and bleak world, or side of the world rather, in law enforcement. And this right here is like, to me, the Japanese version of Training Day. Training Day. I get a lot of Training Day vibes from this anime. Now, for those who haven't seen Training Day, if you want to see something like this done in a beautiful cinematic fashion, go ahead and check that movie out. Find it however you may find it. It's up to you. But just sit down one day and watch. If you like Psycho-Pass, watch Training Day. Because that's one of the most phenomenal movies ever made. And it has a very deep life lesson message, which I see Psycho-Pass try to teach on a highbrow, studious level. But when you go that route, so many details get muddled that you end up contradicting yourself in your writing eventually. It's something that can't be avoided. But if you keep things simple, then it's easier to digest for the audience, and it's a lesson that sticks with the viewer much longer. One of the good examples is that the main antagonist, what was his name? Shogo Makishima. Makishima was supposedly, alright, I'm all over the place here. Let me just give the premise of the whole anime, and then we'll go from there. I'm gonna actually, so this makes me want to do a separate video just reviewing the anime itself. But basically the plot is as thus. Okay, premise is, it is I guess you wouldn't call it dystopian, but it's like a sci-fi future, sci-fi dystopian future where a city is run by a computer AI system called Sybil, the Sybil system. And what the Sybil system does is it's able to scan what did they say it was called? The field? Basically, it can scan brain waves in order to dictate if a person's mental state is that of a broken mentality or a stable mentality to be an upright citizen. So would you have the mentality of a latent criminal, or would you have the mentality of a psychopath or serial killer, etc.? They'll be able to predict such just by scanning it with the guns that they have standard issue for the police. So there are no brick and mortar gunpowder and bullet guns anymore. There are only these psychopath guns, which I'm sure even if you haven't seen the anime, you've seen these guns. And they're called the Denominators. So there's a police force that goes by the MWPSB. And of course the acronym, I might as well tell you what that's supposed to stand for, but it's the Ministry of Welfare's Public Safety Bureau. And basically there's inspectors, detectives, and and what are they called? What are the rankings again? I forget the ranks. Oh yeah, inspectors, enforcers, and analysts, basically. And it's a team of people who have to basically fight all crime in the city, but they do so using the denominator guns that I told you about, which they point it at a person and they can read the brainwaves and immediately tell if they're a criminal or not. So with this premise, it's very nice. It's a very nice concept. That's what, that piqued my interest initially, because I really like the concept. It's very futuristic. It's very Blade Runner. It's very Deus Ex. So I love that. I'll dive right on in. Now, the biggest issue I find was that the main character was not able to surmise the mentality of those around her or the necessity of her mindset to change based on it. You know what I'm saying? But they actually explain that very well, and it's somewhat akin to how a childlike outlook on the world is very necessary in order to keep a level of intellect without degradation. You know what I'm saying? Basically, most adults become stuck in their ways and irritable because they accept the world as it is, but they get stuck on things in their past or worrying about the future, or you know what I mean? Like it's basically, how can I put this into words, or my own words rather? What I've taken from it, my take was that because she was able to readjust her fundamental thinking and outlook on everything in order to affix it to where it's a stable mindset of accepting things. Basically, she had a it is what it is type of attitude for most things every time she discovered something new, dark, and traumatizing. But yeah, and that is one of the reasons why she had one of the most unique psychopaths out there. And the psychopath is basically just the mental report card for every individual person. So yeah, she had one of the best psychopaths, and it was pretty hard to make hers worsen, to keep things simple. And that was the reason why. It's because every time she would discover something new about society that she was ignorant about, she'll just say, well, it's kind of what we have to do because of human nature. And then she'll just go along with it. And it's like, okay. But yeah, they did a good job with her character growth. This character that I'm talking about is the main character, Tsunemori Akane, or Akane Tsunemori, or Tsunemori-chan, Tsunemori-san. Whichever ones, I need to learn those name suffixes. But yeah, she's basically an ignorant kid at the start, and she becomes a more confident, almost adult toward the end, and I like that much. Now, I won't go into spoiler territory because fuck it, make a separate video. But there's just some moments where I was like, okay, finally they're exploring the concept in a good way. It took them a long while, but here we are. But then they kind of fumbled the bag a little bit, and I let it pass since, there's going to be normal people watching this. There's not going to be logic obsessed people like myself, So, yeah. Basically, they name drop some philosophers, psychological analysts, and authors from days of yore who are well regarded, and not a bad selection of these name drops and works and media that they mention, but still, if it made it feel kind of on the nose. It's like, yes, I get that this is a psychology based plot. I understand that. Oh, we're gonna just lean all the way in? Alright, cool. So, yeah, I mean, it's good for the common person to enjoy. And I'm not saying that like, oh, I'm a higher intellect than all of you, and this is for the common stupid man. It's like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I was looking for the subtlety rather than the blatant, the blatant, you know what I'm saying, stating. I was looking for nuance. And I didn't exactly, the only nuance that I found and appreciated was in the main character's growth, and I think that's where the main focal point of the writing was about. Now, the thing about the main character's growth is that because her character had to suffer and grow for most of the season, another character was able to shine because of it. And that character was Kogami Shinya, or Shinya Kogami. And Kogami-san is like on the next level of thinking than everybody else. And basically the premise with his character, as well as most of the other enforcers on the team, is that they call them attack dogs. And the attack dogs are basically going off instinct, basically investigating based on their gut, because they understand the mindset and the perspective of these killers and these psychopaths and these murderers without completely becoming one themselves. But because their brain is attuned to being able to step inside the shoes of their own of their targets, it affects their mental state as well, to the point where their psychopath shows that they have the potential to become a latent criminal. So there you have it. And latent criminals can no longer be what's the word? Latent criminals no longer are able to be the team leaders, the head honchos. They can't. Okay, yeah, the enforcers. If you become an enforcer, you can no longer be an inspector. All right, inspectors like head detective. Now, because of the ranking system and seniority when it comes to enforcers and inspectors, your inspectors oftentimes have to basically try to understand the enforcers, but not so much to the point where their psychopaths can be influenced by the enforcer. And one of the first things that they mentioned was was it Friedrich Nietzsche, or one of the other philosophers. Basically, you stare into the abyss long enough, and the abyss will stare back. Basically, you will become that abyss. Meaning, it's one of the main things, philosophical wise. Say, for example, for those who don't know, say you're a person who's been a goody two shoes all your life. You never did drugs, you never had sex, and you just went your whole life being a good person, great person, and you stuck to it and you persevered. And say you're in your 20s, but you feel like you're missing out, and you want to know what's on the other side of everybody that's out having fun, partying, drinking, smoking, and having sex, and you want to know about that side of life, and you envy it so much that you pay attention to it and you observe it. And eventually you won't be able to fight against those urges anymore. You won't be able to resist it, and you will become that. It's pretty much the main thing about humans learning from another via osmosis and influencing one another in the same right. Like, you can't just feel you are what you eat, meaning the things that you take in and the things that you see, hear on a daily basis and discuss every day, you will become that. That is why most belief systems would have you completely surround your life around that belief system so that you can become that rather than being influenced by the world. So, case in point, there was a TikTok that was going around. We got to talk about it's hard to discuss psychology and psychopaths without discussing psychology, or really sociology as well, but not so much to that extreme, but you'll dabble into it a bit. But here we are. There was a TikTok of a young girl who was moderately cute and confident. I like her little, you know what I'm saying? She had a nice aura about her. And she was saying that, do you guys remember the TikToks about not making jokes about things, and then you keep joking about it, you end up, tricking your brain into believing it because you joke about it so much. And she openly admitted that she joked about hating men so much, black woman by the way, Get your Dr. Umars ready. But yeah, black woman, she was saying that she joked about hating men so much that now she has a literal psychological distaste for them. Like, she actually hates them, and now she cringes at the thought of. And it's like, yo, I mean, that's what happened to you. That literally what happened to you. And that's on both sides of the fence. Y'all ain't never safe around here, fellas, because it's a two-way street when it comes to the gender thing. Women, it's the same thing as it is men. When dudes be like, oh yeah, all these women the same, oh they ain't nothing, they all belong to the streets, etc. And you keep joking like that, but eventually you gonna believe it. And the hardest part about this belief that men and women fall into is that the majority will prove you right in this unjustified belief, and it'll give you a fake justification via example, which is the worst justification to have for a bad premise or prejudice. But reality is, when you do come across that one or two people in your entire lifetime that actually don't fit that bill, don't fit that description, and they're actually different and good people, you will not be able to recognize it, and you'll most likely mistreat them or hurt them, causing them to become the very thing that you were afraid of. And the cycle continues, and that's how it goes. You know what I mean? So if we take that concept and see that it's directly parallel to how Psychopaths introduces the mentality of a killer or any type of person that the civil system would deem unfit for their society, and they should be killed immediately. Well, the thing about most psychotic and, psychotic people, I guess you could say, for lack of a better word. And please keep in mind, I did not go to school for psychology, okay? I'm just addicted to information, and I just like to learn a lot. So I pull from a lot of experiences and learning and things that I've taken in or read or watched. So the pool of knowledge adds to the comments, so to speak. But this is my take, all right? That situation I drew up for you is directly parallel to how Psychopaths paints its criminals, because those who are willing to go out and murder and kill fit certain psychological profiles, and these psychological profiles usually have very similar triggers. Not all of them have the same triggers, but the majority of them have similar triggers, which is stuff like disenfranchised feelings, or, resentment of the past, very strong traumatic experiences, etc. And it causes people to become what they are, or willing to harm another human. It's a lot that goes into it, but those who may watch I don't want to use that TV show for an example because it's not exactly factual, because criminal profiling is not really a good enough method to really sum up human beings and their motives. But Criminal Minds kind of touches on this in a sense, but not to go too deep into that. Basically what they're saying is people who are envious of the system or feel disenfranchised by the system, 9 times out of 10 become criminals because they resent their position in life. Just like, say, people in a low income area, and people who are higher income or middle class would tell people in low income that are committing crimes and whatnot that if you would just stay consistent and not commit any crimes and actually try hard, then you could be successful like me. When that's the biggest lie. Usually people like you gotta watch and be careful of the people that you listen to, especially on like the internet nowadays. These millionaires come join up, do this thing, this is how I made money, etc. Never. Okay? Especially on TikToks. You see it on TikToks all the time. When they be like, this is how you can turn your side hustle into a business, and this, that, and the third. Do not listen to that shit, okay? Don't ever. And if you do, one of the best rule of thumb in order to find out if a person is bullshitting you and you're falling for a scam is if they ask you to go follow something, subscribe to something, or pay for something, you're getting fucked. All right? Because when it comes to imparting this knowledge, you can't directly make money off of it in a capitalist sense without fucking people over. Therefore, you would gain more if you were actually making money off of sharing business secrets that could increase people's chances of success. Then that would mean that the people who would pay and keep coming to your product in order to keep their success or to eventually achieve it would not need to keep paying money. Therefore, you would bleed revenue. And therefore, you would have to keep stringing them along and they would have to keep listening to you on a daily basis. Now, some of them are very, very, very clever and they know how to get around this realization because there was a boom with the Ty Lopez shit a few years back. Like, look at all my cars, look at all my books. Yeah. And the thing about that is, all you have to do is just realize when they want something from you, basically. Capitalism means that they have to keep making money off of it because it's one of their sources of income. And to secure that means they have to keep coming back. You see what I'm saying? They can't just lose you as a customer once you learn enough. They have to keep you paying more money. So they have to bullshit you eventually. Now, I said all that to say this. The system, the civil system in this anime, basically its whole premise is when people take their psychopath test, we will place them in the career that is best suited for their mental psychopath scores. And there's a lot of people who can no longer chase dreams in this society or try to eventually improve in an area to be able to achieve what they want in this society, because their psychopath test tells them this is the job you're gonna do and these are the only options for the jobs that you can get with your mental rating. And a lot of people feel disenfranchised because of it, and this causes them to envy those who got better scores, envy those who have better careers, and they become killers. They become, serial murderers. They become, psychopaths and things like that. So there's a flip side of it, this entire thing, because that's one side of the coin, which is where it finally started to get clever, and it hit around episode 11 or 12. So, but I won't get into that because that's where we get into spoiler territory. We've been talking about this for more than 20 minutes now, so I guess it's time to move to the next thing. So yeah, Psycho-Pass is one of those anime that has a great premise, and the biggest achievement is that they did not drop the ball on it. And Mr. Kogami-san, Shinya, was an amazing character, and I enjoyed it a lot. The cast of characters actually become way more appealing as it goes on, but not in a, oh wow, they're so great with one another kind of way, but more in a damn, the world they live in really fucked them over kind of way, So, yeah. I would recommend it. If I had to put a number on it, ooh, damn, Psycho-Pass. All right, I won't judge it on my preferences solely. I'm gonna judge it on if the author set out with its intentions and achieve it, or authors, the writers. Let's think. Did they achieve what they set out to do? As far as season 1 goes, I say they did an effective job. It was pretty enjoyable. They even worked in a few fight scenes. It was clever when it wanted to be. So yeah, not bad. And what I'm going to do is, let's consider the cons as well. And those cons would be things like, when it gets slow, it gets slow. Like sometimes they would do an exposition to where they dump a bunch of information on you and knowledge on some things and references that other people may not be able to recognize, but I did, and I was still bored. I had to rewind from dozing off. So go into it with a lot of grace, but there's fun to be had. 7.5 out of 10. All right, moving on. A quick rundown of what I've been playing this week. I have played, what did I finish? I finished Serial Cleaner, which is pretty good actually. Not too long of a story and enjoyable. Difficulty, oh my goodness. The difficulty did ramp up, that it did, and boy did it challenge you. Like those last 4 or 5 stages, they don't bullshit around. you gotta know their mechanics and be willing to try again and again and again. Especially when they start putting in the cops who... There's 2 new enemies they introduced that makes the game considerably harder. One are the cops with the afro. It takes them so long to get tired. So if you're going to run away from them, you better have a lot of room to do so. Also, there's a character, another cop, that's straight up equipped with a gun, which I don't know why the others aren't. But yeah, equipped with a gun, and as soon as he sees you, it's on sight, and he kills you. So that makes things a little difficult, but they balance that out with they ramp up the enemies later, but they give you pre-made maps that don't change layout every restart, which is good. Well, I guess it's still a bit randomized, but the randomization is turned down as the difficulty in enemies goes up, so good game overall, and would recommend y'all try it out. And Serial Cleaner, I enjoyed it. Decent story. I didn't even know that there was a sequel already announced too, because I looked up the developers on Twitter after I finished so I could follow them, and they already had a sequel announced. I was like, oh shit, well that's dope, and I'm ready for that. I'm here for it. Yeah, Serial Cleaner, good piece of work. What else did I play this? I don't think there was much else. I gotta work on Jedi Fallen Order again because I lost my save file when I restarted my Windows. I had to reset Windows and completely forgot to transfer my save file, so that was Dunskies. So yeah, started over on that, and I think that's everything aside from the usual multiplayers. That's Spirit Tracks. I beat the Fire Temple, so I think that's the last one. The full Spirit Tracks map is like all the pieces of the Spirit Tower is complete, so I think the final boss is the only thing left. I'm not sure, and the top of the tower dungeon, but we'll see. I'm not positive, but I think that's everything that I've been playing this week. Now, so yeah, I think that's all the games I've beaten. This is Serial Cleaner. It took about 7.7 hours of gameplay overall. So yeah, it's nice and digestible. Yep. So with all that being said, I'm going to jump right into the news. So the first thing that we have on the docket over on GOG.com, get it while you can. The Witcher Enhanced Edition is now free for all GOG Galaxy users. So if you're on PC and you got GOG Galaxy, then go ahead and see if you can download it and install it to your C and then play it for free, because this is the first Witcher. Now, I would not recommend this game because it's old as shit and it's kind of butt. Alright? So if you play Witcher 3 and you go back here and play the first one and you think you're going to find something amazing, then goddamn, I'm sorry. The most amazing you might find out is maybe lore, but as far as animations, character models, and everything else in between, all of that stuff is archaic as fucking. It did not age well. Every Witcher game before 3 didn't age well, to be fair. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Also, next is you gotta have GOG Galaxy, and I don't know how to say it, but having GOG Galaxy won't hurt, I guess. It's another, we already got Battle.net, we already got Steam, we already got Origin. Well, I didn't reinstall Origin when I restarted. Now that Apex is on Steam, only thing that hurt my heart about not having Origin is fucking Rocket Arena had died. Why did they kill that game? It was actually fun. Then a great friend of mine, who I appreciate a lot, bought that game for me, and fucking less than a month after owning the game, every time I fucking queue up, I'm in a 10-minute queue, because they killed the fucking game before it even started. The game came out this past summer, and they killed it that fast. That shit, man, fuck. They should have made this shit free to play from the jump. Goddamn well, you can't be out here trying to compete with all these other free options for multiplayer as a brand new IP and thinking that you just gonna snatch people's motherfucking attention and playtime up like that, when they could just go back to the game that has all their friends on it. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, yeah, that's the only thing that hurts with not having Origin. But sweet sorrow, I guess. Yeah, I think there's everything I can say on that. Damn. Moving on. Next thing on the docket, Daybreak Games has a new owner over on PCGamer.com. Article written by an Andy Chalk once again. And basically, Daybreak Game Company has a new owner. and it's called Enid Global 7. And they made a deal to drop $300 million on the company. And basically, Daybreak Games are those who brought EverQuest 1 and 2, DC Universe Online, a title near and dear to my heart, PlanetSide 2, and Lord of the Rings Online. And basically, they're saving Daybreak from the panoramic. So, yeah, there's not much else to this. Just that they have a new business structure coming in January, and they have a new overlord, EG7. So yeah, here's a quick quote. I am thrilled to be welcoming Daybreak into the EG7 family today. Daybreak is a studio I have utmost admiration for, not only for the games, but the teams behind those games and the services. EG7 CEO Robin Floden said, "Together we have bold and exciting plans for the future, and I look forward to making those dreams a reality for gamers all over the world." So yeah, EG7 everybody. Moving on. Next thing on the docket. Like I said, it's been real loud this week, but it's not a lot of news. Next thing on the docket, Ryzen 3000 series won't support Smart Access Memory, but Intel 4th Gen and newer is compatible. So, Ryzen 3000s and older will not be able to support the SAM tech, which we talked about last week. Here's a little update article. And basically, Intel 4th Gen CPUs and newer will be compatible. It's relatively new, not a huge surprise, nothing to panic about. It's not something detrimental to your game performance. Everybody will be fine, I assume, and you won't really notice it as a necessity until it becomes standard. So yeah, and besides, when I say the 3000 series of Ryzen processors, we mean the processors that just came out 2019. So if you didn't get a brand newly released processor that came out this year, I don't even know if those are compatible. Wait a minute, what, the latest Ryzen's the 4000 series? Hold up. Okay, yeah, the Ryzen 4000 series, meaning, you know, the 357s and gold and silver Athlons that are 4300, 4600, and 4700. And basically, they're all newer processors that came out this year, and they will be supporting this new technology feature. But like I say, it's not that huge of a deal, and everybody will be fine, so don't panic. Smart access memory is just something that I still think should have been implemented long ago, and I don't know why it's just not becoming a thing. But anyway, here we go, directly from the article. Smart access memory is actually just a fancy term for a resizable bar or base address register, which is a feature that has been around for a while now, but AMD was the first to properly use it and now popularize it amongst the industry. However, a physical layer feature known as full rate _ PDEP _ U32/64 is required to support resizable bar, which previous gen Ryzen processor architectures apparently do not have, thus resulting in a hardware limitation for these CPUs. Intel introduced this feature in their 4th gen Haswell processor, hence why their CPUs since then will be able to support smart access memory / resizable bar. So there you have it in a nutshell. That was the most important paragraph to me out of this article, written by Neil Suter, and there you have it. So just to give you a little update on how that's going, and I don't really see this to be that huge of a detriment. Unless it's a performance boost that becomes a necessity, then it's nothing to worry about too much. And lastly, here's some of the loudest news of the past week, aside from, who was it, Jake Paul knocking out what's his face. Anywho, you can tell how much I cared. Now Floyd Mayweather, I care about that fight. But anyway, Nintendo fans take issue with Splatoon 2 event getting canceled. Nintendo fans were none too happy that the company decided to cancel their Splatoon 2 tournament live stream. This followed last month's canceling of a fan tournament featuring Smash Bros. Melee. Of course, Melee can't be easily streamed online with current Nintendo hardware, but no such worries exist with Splatoon 2. But the Nintendo American Open did not get the live stream treatment that was promised this weekend. About 30% of the players in the tourney voiced their support for the Melee players with their usernames. That probably prompted the Big N to close down shop. but it might have had the opposite effect as the company began to trend on Twitter Sunday evening, both hashtag free Splatoon and hashtag free Melee, or are all over the platform now. Oh my God, what is that? Anyway. The Big House, who ran the Super Smash Bros. Tourney, released a statement last month. The Big House is heartbroken to share we received a cease and desist from Nintendo of America Incorporated to cancel our upcoming online event. We were informed we do not have permission to host or broadcast the event primarily due to the usage of Slippy. Sadly, all our competitions are affected. We are forced to comply with the order and cancel the Big House Online for both Melee and Ultimate. Refund information will be sent shortly. We apologize to all those impacted. Nintendo offered an official statement shortly after the news began to spread. Nintendo appreciates the love and the dedication the fighting game community has for the Smash Bros. Series. We have partnered with numerous Smash Bros. Tournaments in the past and have hosted our own online and offline tournaments for the game, and we plan to continue that support in the future. Unfortunately, the upcoming Big House 4 tournament announced plans to host an online tournament for Super Smash Bros. Melee that requires use of illegally copied versions of the game in conjunction with a mod called Slippy. During their online event, Nintendo therefore contacted the tournament organizers to ask them to stop. They refused, leaving Nintendo no choice but to step in to protect its intellectual property and brands. Nintendo cannot condone or allow piracy of its intellectual property. Were you looking forward to the Splatoon tourney? Let us know down in the comments. So yeah. Now this is what I gathered from reading that. And basically, they were warned first and then said, no, fuck you. That was stupid. Number two, I think that there's more to this than we want to admit. And now everybody's acting outraged because when we won our tournament. And I understand how they feel. And it feels pretty shitty. But do y'all remember what happened in 2020 or not? Every tournament goer, and it seemed like the results of almost every tournament. Let me tell you what lawyers do when they work for huge ass companies, bro. Especially Fortune 500s, bro. A company big as Nintendo, bro. Everything that was on the internet that was about Smash Brothers tournaments, Smash Brothers competitors at tournaments, and pedophilia is on record and recorded. They recorded all that shit. They got all that shit on record just so they can say, oh, we know what they're doing. We know what they've been doing since the start of the tournaments. We know that the only way that they could do these mods is if they pirate the game. We know that the only way that they could do this is if they break our end user agreements and end user licenses. Like, yo, they know what's going on. Imagine being Nintendo right now and everything surrounding you, one of your biggest flagship titles, almost as big as Mario, if not bigger, is Smash Brothers, and all the negative news surrounding the name of Smash Brothers is a bunch of motherfuckers that can't keep their dick in their pants and start diddling kids. And girls who start fooling around with young little boys. Bruh, these motherfuckers should have never opened their mouth. They should never took the shit to Twitter, and they killed the tournament community. Y'all blaming Nintendo for some shit that these other people done did. Opening their mouth and telling the whole goddamn world. You feel me? Like, ain't nobody need to know all that shit, and it's sad too. It's fucking sad. Because we need these tournaments. But what Nintendo's trying to do is two things. Protect their IP and the news surrounding it. And to kill off a culture that's festering and growing like a cancer around their fighting game community. And it's natural like that. And this ain't, and we ain't gonna sit here and act like this is the only, community that's got this shit going on. Cause I'm pretty sure there's shit going on in the Street Fighter, Tekken, and every other Soul Calibur, all these other fighting game communities. Of course there is, alright? But the fact that these motherfuckers blew the whistle is the point. Sometimes some shit could be done better. I'm not saying that the victims of these happenings should have never came out with it or should have never told anybody and just kept it to themselves. No, because that would have been terrible self-care and terrible mental health. But what I do know and am saying is that they could have done it better. They could have gone to a therapist. They could have addressed the person directly. They could have gone to authorities and had it handled amongst one another. They could have done this in a number of different ways. But the only reason that I would see you straight making it public in a twit longer, bro, is for clout and to take down another person's reputation. And I feel like that's petty, and you're not gonna really find justice in that, right? Because you take them down, but that don't build you up. It's like with your enemies, you can't just be looking to take your enemies down like that. Sometimes you gotta let your enemies dig their own grave and let them get caught on their own, you feel me? Sometimes you just gotta succeed despite it. Cause ain't no way of beating an enemy better than, oh, look at me now, cause I'm not looking at you, but you watching me win. Despite what you tried to do to me, you couldn't hold me down, you couldn't hold me back, and you couldn't ruin me. That type of shit. You know what I mean? That's the type of shit that you want to do. That's your real W, okay? You make your own L when you put all your shit out there. Because now people looking at you like, well, motherfucker, you ain't, this is the age of technology and kids being well wise beyond their years and smart as fuck, all right? People be mature as hell at the age of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I have a hard time finding that you knew that you didn't know what you was doing, number one. And number two, motherfucker, why you want to bring this shit out retroactively and show it to the whole world? Like, nah. Like, no. Like, you have my sympathy because, yes, you might have been young and you might not have been able to make the right choice at that time. So you have my sympathy. You have my sympathy. But the way that you went about it, I can't rock with that. This is something that's deeply rooted in something else, and not everybody just has the wherewithal to think to do things differently before they up and do it. Oftentimes they react off of emotion. But that being said, as far as everybody else out there that's crying and trying to deflect and scapegoat Nintendo into the fact that they doing what they supposed to do, because it seems like every time a motherfucker tournament goes down, somebody's getting diddled. Shit, every time you turn around, bro, did y'all forget that era, bro? It was like a whole 3 weeks. Every 2 days, somebody else came out and said, yeah, so I went to this one Smash tournament, right? I wasn't the same after. Like, it just kept happening, bro. It was back-to-back bullshit. Like, y'all gotta stop acting like y'all don't know. Anyway, let me not rant too long. I'm trying to keep these short these days. I'm going back to like a 30-minute, 20 to 30-minute format. So, I guess I'll put some timestamps to skip the Psychopath talk if you don't want to hear that. But yeah, all this shit just seemed goofy and dumb to me. But anyway, all they gotta do is rebrand and just make more tournaments and just be smarter about it. You just gotta wait, take your time. You'll be alright. Like, damn, shit, bro. Either way, this has been Slim Cognito, bro, and I'm finna go ahead and calm my ass down and edit all this shit together. But anyway, y'all take care of yourselves, please. Alright, we still in the panoramic, so do not be dumb. Alright, and all in all, don't forget to check out the Twitch. We're gonna be streaming. We're gonna be going live. We're gonna be doing what we can. It's a lot of stuff going on with Twitch DMCAs and things, but we're gonna ride this thing out till the wheels fall off. You feel me? What else? Follow me on Twitter, shit, and we out. And always remember the channel motto: intentions are the most important. Actions ain't nothing but loud, and words don't mean a damn thing. Y'all take care of yourselves and love yourselves. Peace. Bro, his attack speed is so good, though. Oh god, oh god. Okay. Show you how to do this, young. Karma is a bitch.